Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and we are live again on YouTube. And you see some really pixelated people on the other side of my screen right now. And that is my daughter, my son-in-law, Chad and Austin Blaise. And Chad Barron, say hi guys. You guys are really pixelated, unfortunately, but I just wanted to celebrate. I've got a brand new baby granddaughter, and she is 2 days old. Can you guys hold her up close? Can you get the camera kind of close to her? And she looks like a bunch of pixels. Doggone it. But if you guys could see, there's actually a beautiful little baby girl there. Her name is Avalon. And I couldn't be any happier. So this is my second grandchild, my first granddaughter. And we're really, really happy. So I just wanted to introduce, there we go. She's coming in better now. I wanted to introduce her to the whole world. I've got a brand new baby granddaughter, and her name is Avalon. So congratulations to Chad and Austin. And so I thought today it would be kind of fun to sit and draw babies and draw cute in celebration of little baby Avalon. I've got a video already on my YouTube channel, on YouTube, where I talk about drawing cute and that sort of thing, but it's recorded. And I thought today we'll just do it live, and I'll talk about some of the things that I think about when I'm drawing cute. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce you guys to the baby. So I'm going to let you guys go, Austin and Chad. Thank you so much for getting on Skype and talking to the whole world.
Oh, great.
And you guys look like a big pixelated mess, but anyway.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to jump back now, and I'm going to get back on Photoshop, and we are going to, yeah, I wish you could have seen her. She's so cute. Actually, I've got some photos of her. I'm gonna just bore you guys with pictures of my baby granddaughter. There she is. She's the cutest little thing. I got to see her the other day. I was supposed to do Facebook Live on Tuesday, but she was born on Tuesday, so we went down, and now she's opening her eyes now. And she's just super, super cute. So I want to draw cute today. All right. So let me take a little sip of my coffee. And we are all set. Actually, I've got my water over here. How are we doing over there, Dustin?
Doing good.
Great. So we've got Dustin Blaise, my son. He's, as usual, he's here. Say hi, Dustin.
Hi.
And then we've got Nick Birch on the other end in Sarasota, Florida, helping us out, and he'll be answering questions as well on the keyboard. I'm still thirsty today. But anyway, why don't we sit down and we'll draw cute. So I want to just talk about, it's interesting when and once again, I'll answer questions as we go. What are the things that make something cute? And it's interesting how we're so hardwired. The reason why we see something cute, the reason why we see, nature has wired us that when we see the proportions of cuteness, it makes us want to nurture, and that's why babies look cute, and we're wired to see that and want to nurture and want to protect. And so that's why all mammals basically, because come on, baby spiders aren't that cute, but there's, mammals and that sort of thing, they're all basically proportioned the same. There's adult proportions, and then there's these baby cute proportions, and it doesn't matter if you're looking at a human baby or a gorilla or a puppy or a kitten, they're all proportioned the same. From the differences as far as going from an adult to the baby. And that's why when we see a puppy or we see a kitten or we see a baby mouse or whatever, we just go, oh, you just react and you want to hold it and you want to nurture it. So, and now those proportions, let's talk about those proportions. If we, let me create a new layer here. If we look at an adult, let's say. All right, so here's an adult head. Like so. First of all, what you see right off the bat is it's much longer, okay? And our eye line, an adult eye line, is just slightly above halfway, let's say in here. And there's usually about an eye width, between the side of the head, between the eyes. I got them a little far apart, between the eyes, and then here. Okay, so there's that, and you got your eyebrows up here. Your nose is a little more than a third of the way down, and then your mouth right here, right? And then the ears fall right in between. Okay, so you've got, it's a very bad drawing, but there's your adult male. You know, there's a male proportion, or it could be female. Just give her long hair. Oh no, look, she's female now. Okay, cool. But anyway, so there's your adult proportion. Now, kids, and it depends on the age too. So, but let's go really young. First of all, much rounder head. Everything's round. You know, the babies, lots of chubby cheeks, round chin, round cheeks, round folds in the arms. Everything's round. Keep that in mind. But that eye line is going to be way down here, like a third of the way off the bottom. And usually the eyes are a little bigger in proportion, and they're a little more set apart. You know, a baby's eyes, the eyeball doesn't grow, or at least that's my understanding. So a baby's eyes are the same size as their eyes are going to be when they're an adult. So that's why a baby's eyes look so big, because they are in comparison to their body. And then you've got a little nose, you know, proportion-wise, very tiny little nose right here. And then this little mouth, everything's small. Little cheeks. And then the ears. So those are the baby proportions. Okay? And it's interesting, I can take those ears off, do this, I can change the nose. Put some ears up here, and you got a little puppy, and it's all kind of the same, you know. It's interesting how that can work. So, those are the proportions. You know, when you look at a baby, you know, the eyes are set much lower. They're bigger. The ears are small. The mouth is small. The nose is tiny. All that kind of stuff. And we know that kind of inherently. But to sit down and actually draw it, it can get a little tricky sometimes. And so I wanted to sit down and just go through it with you guys. And you know, and I'll tell you, you know, I'll show you some of my techniques as far as how to draw cute. You got anything over there, Dustin?
Not at the moment.
Right on.
I was writing something to Nick. We're having a text conversation about something.
Good. All right. Well, keep doing that. So I'm gonna go
Actually,
ahead.
how do I draw cute without following conventions?
Well, one of the things about drawing cute is to not overdraw. That's a big thing. If you have too many angle changes, you want things to be fluid. You don't want a lot of different things going on in the silhouette. That will contribute to something looking cute without being conventional. But at the same time, the reason things are conventional or cliche is for a reason. It's because that's what makes something cute. I mean, you can take those proportions and apply it to a shark, and you can make a cute looking shark. You know, like I said earlier, that's what we're hardwired to see are those proportions as being cute. So if you break those proportions, a lot of times you're breaking the cute factor, okay? But you can play within that realm though. You can play within the rules that I'm going to show you. So let's go ahead and just draw. Actually, I'm going to come down. I don't like that. I'm going to change my size here. That's better. Right in there. All right. So, I always start with this little round head. And I always, notice how I'm doing this, rather than just this hard drawing, like another little bubble. I like to have it fluidly come off the head. Like so. Like so. There's my catchphrase, like so. All right. And then here, I usually try to establish an eye line in here. I want to get rid of that because it gets distracting. So let's say going to have them look over here. These little eyes. And I like to set the eyes a little bit further apart. And little nose. And when I'm thinking about a baby's nose, they tend to have kind of almost, it's turned up a little bit. And it's short. One of the things I love about babies, I'll give them some little tooths, baby buck tooths. Baby mouths are really cute in that the bottom lip tends to be like pushed back and the top lip comes out, and I'll draw that on another drawing, but they tend to be really cute that way. But in just a few lines, let's pull the ears out. I like to draw kind of ears sticking out on a little kid. In just a few lines, we've got some cute happening here. I'm going to shrink them up. Just a touch, just a touch. There we go. Let's have him or her oh, I turn off my email. Yes, off. All right. So now notice the arm. Notice the proportion on the arm that I'm drawing. I'm going to give him some little hands. But notice how I like doing kind of big bulbous forearms, almost like Popeye. Because they tend to have, they're big and squishy, I'll pull that shoulder in. And little fingers, little tiny fingers. Yes, Dustin?
What kind of jobs can you get nowadays with 2D animation, since this art form isn't used as much anymore?
Well, there's tons of jobs you can get. I mean, there's still a lot of 2D animation happening in television here in the States. In Europe, I get this question all the time. We're going to have to put this on a frequently asked questions section of our site, because I get the same question every week. There's lots and lots of animation going on. Of course, there's not as much 2D in the feature world, but there's TV stuff, there's commercial stuff, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So it's just, it's not as prevalent as it used to be, like I said, from a feature standpoint, but if you get out there, you can still find it. And we'll just give them some little legs. So notice how everything's small. And of course, they're babies, but it's the proportions. Look at the head proportion, the size of the head compared to the rest of the body. A normal person is usually about 7 to 8 heads tall. You take that head and you repeat it 7 or 8 times. Whereas this baby here, a baby something like this, might be 3 or 4 heads, or even 2 heads, depending on how, you want to proportion it and push how cartoony it might be. But you see these arms and the little bulby feet. Let's get his little feet in there. Little toes. Like so. Like that. So there, look at, and I like to draw also, I love drawing their little, they're going to have little wrinkles, fat rolls. Like so. But notice how I'm trying to keep things all nice. I'm very nice and simple. As far as, there's not a lot of, let me switch this back again. Drop that down a little bit more. There's not a lot of, angle change and things like that. I try to be very simple. That's a full, the line work is very simple, describing that arm. You see there? You know, when I got a shoulder, I'll describe the shoulder, but everything else is very fluid. I let one part kind of flow into the other, and that helps keeping it chubby and cute. And little dainty fingers. I've got all this little detail at the end of, you know, where the hands are. Any more questions there, Dustin? It's quiet today.
Yeah, there's a.
There we go.
Um,
Speak up, Dustin. We can't hear you.
I'm looking for something.
Gotcha.
What are you drinking there?
I am drinking coffee. There we go.
Could you ask about cute in relation to a center of gravity? Maybe people are top heavy. How does that apply to others?
Say that again.
Ask. This person wants to know about the cute in relation to center of gravity.
I have no idea what that question means, but I will definitely do some sketching.
I think it's talking about like the size of the head, like top heavy and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Like that kind of proportion, and how to keep that center of gravity going.
Sure. You know, in animation, it's, you know, I love animating baby because you kind of get them all over the place, and they'll kind of lead with their belly, and then they catch up, and they're always out of balance, and it's always a lot of fun to animate that. And as far as that center of gravity, that's the thing. It's changing all over the place, and the baby's having to, you know, kind of catch up, and a foot will get up in the air, and then it'll catch up, and then they'll have some quick steps, and then, you know, it's almost like a drunk walk. You know, and actually animating people drunk and animating babies are basically the same. That's kind of fun. So I'm just going to tie him down just a little bit. Just have some fun drawing cute. Once, like, you've seen it before, as far as the way I lay stuff in, I rough it in and I come in and tie it down. Yes, Dustin?
I got two questions here. Number one, can you explain how you have your sketch brush set up, the actual settings? I mean, once we download from your site, like
the settings on my brush are exactly the way they should be on the site. So if they're different, I'm not sure, because my brush setting, the brush that I'm using now is exactly the same. As far as the settings go, I haven't changed them.
What kind of what's the brush that you're using?
This is the same brush, and that's another question I get every time. It's the if you go to my website, I sell, you know, a whole bunch of Photoshop brushes, and this is the 7th brush. It's not number 7. It's not called number 7, but it's the 7th brush in my original custom brush pack. And Nick will put up a link to it.
And why do you flip the drawing?
When I flip a drawing, it causes your brain to see it completely different. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, for whatever reason, you are able to see mistakes more. So if I switch this around, you'll notice, like here, now it feels like I don't have enough to his head back here. I want to fill that out more. See? I can feel that. I can see it better. I'll give him some bigger ears. So that's it's just, I don't know what it is. You know, it's like just now we just saw that, you know, hey, it needs something more back there. And you're able to see mistakes better. And that's, you know, before we had computers, before I ever worked on a computer, I would use a mirror. And I'd go up and I'd hold my drawing up to a mirror and look at it that way. So if you're working traditionally, try that trick. And that was something, you know, I didn't even know other artists did that. It was probably when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I was drawing and I couldn't get back far enough to look at my picture. So I held it up to a mirror to double the distance. When I looked at it in the mirror, I was like, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of things wrong with it. that I didn't see went normal. And so I started doing that as a kid. And then I discovered that other artists do the same thing. Yeah.
I got one person asking from the previous live stream. Just wanted to follow up on it. It was asking about the if you're still planning to share some of your keys so they can practice animating the in betweens.
Sure. Yeah. I love that idea. And it's I just haven't been able to get around to it. But I definitely will be doing that. And we'll figure out a way to get them out to people. Obviously, it'll be through the website, creatureartteacher.com. So if you want to check out my site, that's where it's at. Oh, also, we're just kind of proud of this. I've got an article that just came out in Cartoon Brew. If you go to cartoonbrew.com, the website, I've got an article talking about the 7 steps that I go through in character designing a character. So check that out. Go to Cartoon Brew, check it out. And so here's a little baby, and once again, we turned him around, and we could see that I needed to flesh out his face a little bit. So there he is, turned back the right way. And you could just the great thing about kids is it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. It just depends on the clothes you put them in. I could give this little guy ponytails and all of a sudden he'd become a girl. So it's just, or I could just put you can tell, you can fool anybody into thinking, when you're drawing a baby, what gender or whatever. It's a lot of fun. You got something, Dustin?
No, I was just adjusting my hat.
Gotcha. So anyway, so there's a baby there. Let's do something a little more cartoony. Let's have some fun with that. So you can still, and I'll push it really hard in here. Blow this up. Maybe he's really mischievous. Get those brows way down low.
How do you age up people while keeping it consistent and not losing its cuteness?
Well, once again, it's the younger, the more you push those. The question is, how do you age something up and not lose the cuteness? Well, the more you age it up, you're going to lose the cuteness. But you can push beauty. You can push, any number of things. So here, maybe he's concentrating. I give him I'll rough it in like this, and then I'll come in and there we go. And then we'll tie it down. But let's bring him over here.
Do you find digital sketching allows for greater, easier experimentation over traditional sketching?
The question is, do I find digital sketching, does it allow me to be more creative, I guess? Is that the question?
Yeah, allowing you, but does it allow you to experiment more easily and try new things?
It does, and it does in a sense, because it does allow me to be a little bit more creative and try different things, because I'm not worried about wasting any paper. Even though I've been doing this for 40 years, I still have that little sense in the back of my head. I don't want to waste this paper. I don't, and so sometimes I'll go the safe route rather than. Let's see here. There we go. I'll go a safe route and not experiment as much. So here, giving him little legs. There's that little body again, little hands. different attitude. But let's tie this down and see what we can get. So I like to do those little, almost like a little pig nose the kids have. There we go. And this is pushed, obviously.
Is learning 3D animation something you've considered?
Learning 3D animation is definitely something I've considered. But I just don't have the time to do it. And but I'd love to. At some point, I'd love to learn. Definitely, for sure. So that's a kind of a creepy baby. Creepy baby. Oh, I know what I want to do. Let's do one in profile. I wanted to talk about those lips. Remember, I was talking about those lips earlier. And I did a little sketch of my little granddaughter when I went to see her. I did a little drawing of her in profile, and she was just so cute. And I saw some interesting things. So if we get this head, and the head tends to be long in profile, okay, and we want to get that little ear right in there. One of the things is you come down, and that little nose will it's almost like a 90-degree turn. Just kind of comes out, and you get this in the nostril right there. You see that? It's almost like this 90-degree turn right there. And then what I love, this is what I was talking about earlier, their lips, their tiny little mouths. That little lip will come down, and you don't see much of it. It just comes in like so. And then you've got, well, that line was too heavy. There we go. You got this cheek that comes down. Now, that's the top lip, and that bottom lip sits way back here. And it's just really, really cute. You can have it sit back like right there. I could take it even further. You bring that lip way back, see? It actually makes it feel a little younger. Look at that. That's just a little bit there. And then a little bit of the chin. And all of a sudden you get like a Gerber baby. You get like a little Gerber baby thing happening.
It actually kind of looks like Boss Baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Boss Baby.
How's the complicity of drawing marine mammal
Complexity?
First spelled it Complicity.
Okay.
Or what was the complexity? How is the complexity of drawing marine mammal babies differs from overland mammals?
Well, once again, I think it's they're basically it's the same idea. You're going to get smaller proportions. Oops, let me turn off my Skype. I'm getting messages on Skype now. There we go. So, when I have actually done some marine mammal baby designs. There you go. So there's a little baby in profile. And when I do, I basically try to keep the same. I try to keep the same rules. I try to follow the same rules. But I mean, if you look at baby whales, like the big whales, the baleen whales, the humpbacks, and the fin whales, and that sort of thing. If you look at the babies just like they just look like shrunk down versions, and a little bit more squat versions of the adults. And so there's that. So there's a little baby profile. So look at the size of that forehead and that quick little break. All the features are all kind of gathered up, all in one area. And you've got this big melon of a head. And if we draw that ear in, their ears are just perfect little representations of ours. Now, it's interesting, our ears grow throughout our lives. And I was looking at my granddaughter. You know, everybody does this when you see a brand new baby. You just marvel at how everything is perfect, but so tiny. And I was looking at her little ear, and I held my thumb up to it, and her ear was exactly the same size as my thumb. But I just marvel at all the complexity, the intricacy, all of that, you know, in the ear and the fingers and the tiny little fingernails, and everything's perfect, you know, and it's just amazes me. So in drawing an ear, in case you guys, I'm going to give you an ear demonstration, in case you don't know how to draw an ear. Start, you know, it starts to go under right in here, and it comes around. It's almost like an open number 9. Think of it that way. And once again, lots of ears. You know, everybody has unique features. So, but then there's this shape right here. It makes like a Y up in the ear. This kind of comes down and feeds into the lobe. Then this comes around. So you get this. It looks like a Y, like that, right here. Boom, boom, boom. That shape. This comes down and in. And this comes down, feeds right into an opening right in there. And then you get the little earlobes down here. But here's an ear, just like so. And usually you might have a little shadow coming over the top, but if I blow this up so you can see a little better. There's a little ear. The little Y, the Y shape right there, and that feeds down into this part. Goes into the ear canal, and that curls in there like that. There. So there's your ear. There's your little ear lesson, ear drawing lesson. There. So look at those, you know, when you're drawing babies, especially in profile, have some fun playing with, you know, here's the lip in profile, and then there's that bottom lip. You can really have some fun with that. If we were to draw in 3/4, and blow it up a little bit more. You'd have, all right, get rid of these extra lines because they get distracting. I like to feed right into the cheek, right there. You can have that bottom lip like way back there, and that little chin's back here. See? So all of a sudden now it feels like a real young baby because we've pushed that top lip out and pulled the bottom lip back. I'm going to be drawing my granddaughter so much. Now, you know, a lot of people will, you know, they'll draw really big eyes. And you can, and that adds to the cuteness. But I like to keep the eyes on the baby, even if I'm drawing cartoony babies, not quite as big. Because there's something about like overly huge eyes that, to me, they just kind of goes into a creepy factor. There we go. Here. Just like so. So those are, you know, drawing those lips. That's really important, getting that right. Actually, we can darken them up a little bit. Okay, that all really helps. So let's review on some of these. You got any more questions over there, Dustin?
What's been the most difficult cute animal to draw?
The most difficult cute animal? I don't know. Because for me, things aren't difficult to draw if you just sit down and do the homework in order to learn to draw them. I mean, everything is difficult. Put it that way. So once you learn how to draw it, you get rid of the difficulty, and the ease of getting it from your brain onto the paper or onto the screen increases over time. So the idea of something being difficult for me to draw, everything's going to be difficult at first, no matter what, if you don't know about it. But once you understand it, then the difficulty goes away. So I can't. Everything. It's all the same. So that's the answer to that question.
Somebody's wondering if you could draw a baby Raja and apply the portions to an animal.
Oh, sure. And actually, we had Baby Raja in Aladdin. There we go here. Whoops. There we go here. So here's what we've done so far. Actually, what do I have in here? I think I was drawing. Oh, that was that. Oh, this was another baby I drew earlier. This one's actually a little cuter, I think. I was drawing this one earlier just as I was trying to come up with an idea for what we we're going to talk about today. And here, let me go back to this guy because I like this. Let me move him over. There's something cute. Yeah, remember I was talking about keeping things simple. Don't overdraw. And I think this is a strong example of what I was trying to say there. Here I was trying very hard just to keep everything very, very simple. Just like I was doing on this guy. This guy feels a little less cartoony and a little less fun. This guy feels more fun to me. There we go. Really simple. I was going to talk about hands too a little bit more. And what I think about when I'm doing the hands. Now let's just take that diaper right off. There we go. Nothing cuter than little naked babies running around. I love it. Maybe a couple little tufts of curly hair. There. That's kind of fun. Oh, don't need that line. There we go. So there's this other baby that I was drawing earlier that I completely forgot about. And that one feels a little more cute. So if I shrink it up, we'll get to Raja here in a second, don't worry. If I put him over here and then turn this guy back on, I don't like that. Or that. I want this guy back on. There we go. You can see the proportions are pushed just a little bit more on this one, on the lower right one. And notice how this guy up here, he's a little more squared off. You know, the head feels a little bit more square. The proportions are pushed a little differently. To me, it's a completely kind of different look. He feels a little bit older. Just in changing those proportions just a tiny little bit, you can age a character up or down. Okay, so if you look what we've got here, you know, the head is a little bit bigger to body. The cranium is bigger to the face. The body is a little bit more round, and so all of a sudden this baby feels, you know, just maybe a few months younger than this baby here, this guy. Or maybe even a year younger. This could be like a 1 year old, 1.5 year old, whereas this is probably, you know, a 6 month old. So just changing those proportions a little bit. Look at the legs. That's another thing too. Changing those proportions just a little bit can really, you know, affect the age. So keep that in mind if you're drawing when you're drawing babies. Let's try a Raja. I got to try to remember how to draw Raja again. I haven't drawn a Raja since I did that realistic looking Raja a couple of years ago. But if I were to draw Raja as a, let's see here, we get a new layer. There we go. Once again, I would start. Is that rain? Yep, we got rain. Yay. I would start.
Oh, it's raining?
Yep.
Oh, yep.
And I would, once again, just pull those proportions down. And there we go. And give them a little chin. You can see when I'm doing lots of little sketching, like the little lines, you can that's my dead giveaway that I'm struggling with a drawing, trying to remember. I'm trying to remember how to draw Raja and then shrink them up and give them baby proportions. So there's that. And then once again, I would pull these eyes down. Maybe let's give him a little smile out here. Let's have him looking off to the side. There we go. Little nostrils. He's got the tufts of hair that come off the side. So I'll just do that tiny, like so. Like so, there I go again, like so.
There we go.
There we go. So there's that. And then I'd probably give him a little scruff of fur up there. Coming around. There's a line there. There was a line here. And a line here, I believe, if I remember his pattern right. I'm trying to remember his patterning. Something like that. There we go. Little baby Raja. Baby Raja. Make all this dark. There we go. So once again, it's all the same proportions. I give them a big, give them that big cranium, little nose, little mouth, bigger eyes, offset, a little wider, and I give him, little feet. So, just a little body. And a little baby tummy, like so. There.
Can you draw a baby version of the beast?
A baby version of the beast. That's I've never ever done that, so that'll be a first. But let's go ahead and try it. That can be kind of fun. Yeah. Okay, so I drew the beast last week.
And the same person wrote right after, like, the full sentence, can you draw a baby version of the beast? I mean, I know he was technically human as a baby, but... actually would be very interesting to see.
I have no idea what I'm going to draw here. Let's see here. Well, he'd have just a little nose.
Teeny tiny little horns, like barely even poking out.
Yeah. He'd have just like a little nub. See, the thing about the beast, there's so many features on his face, the big brow and all that, that made him who he is. And then to pull those away, it's going to feel funky maybe, but already he looks too old. I got to push those proportions. Trying to do a baby beast. Trying to do a baby beast. There we go. You're watching it. You're watching me struggle, folks.
What are your thoughts on the live movie of Beauty and the Beast? I think you've answered that one before.
What's my what?
Your thoughts on the live action movie?
I haven't seen it yet. So, and you know that, Dustin. I haven't seen it yet.
I know.
But I can't. So I can't answer it. So, and I'm not going to put the big fangs in there because I don't think he's had them yet. They haven't grown in yet. So let's just do that. And give him a little bit of fuzz on the bottom. But no, I haven't seen the movie. I've heard great things about it. There we go. We give him big eyes. He should have a little stripe coming down. I might just be killing it altogether as far as whether or not he looks like the beast anymore. I don't know. He'd have a little mark there. But I don't want it to look like he has a beard. It kind of looks like he has a beard there, so let's get rid of that. There. There we go. This is a weird request. There we go. We'll give them, and once again, just little horns and little ears. Let's drop the ears way down here. So this is a bad drawing. So maybe that's, there we go. There's a baby beast, I think. Something like that. Or something. Boy, that's creepy. Let's do, okay, you see it? Get rid of it. I'm getting rid of it now because I don't want to look at that anymore.
How about Baby Scar and Mufasa?
No, I'm not doing any more baby Disney characters, all right? Jeez. No.
Baby Buzz Lightyear.
No. We're going to talk about, I want to go back to hands. I want to talk about hands a little bit and little arms. So, you've got their shoulder, they tend to have nice round shoulders and right into the fat of the arms. And they're all, they have the same rhythms as we do, as adults do. They're just squashed. And little rolls of fat. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. Oops. So I'm just going to draw, you know, if the hand is, I can't tell, I don't know which hand it is that you're going to be looking at. But, you know, I'm going to get this little roll in here. So I tend to think of their hands as like this little square, like this. Okay? And then I just attach these, think of it that way actually. These little fingers, almost like you've blown up a surgical glove. Like that. That's how I draw baby hands. Just nice. There we go. Like that. There, see? So I keep everything really dainty. Small and dainty. Like that. You could have him, you know, point, but just keep it. Keep all the little fingers small. Like so. Actually, that finger's probably too big. You know, keep everything really small and dainty, like that. Okay? So I want to turn some of these back on so we can review, because I'm going to go ahead. We've been at it for an hour. And so I just wanted to show you, wow, some yuckiness. There we go. And where's our profile? Oh, that was a different profile guy I think I was looking at. There we go. So here's what we've been talking about. Oh, let me turn those hands back on, the ones that we were just talking about. And edit, free, transform. I can shrink them right up and put them up here. So I like to, you know, when I'm doing stuff like this, I like to spread them around and you can look at what we've been talking about. But look at those proportions, you know, that big cranium, getting the eyes, you know, spread apart, you know, getting more than an eye width apart. If you get them too close, it looks creepy. It doesn't look right. So make sure you get that. Play with those lips too. Remember what I was talking about as far as, you know, getting that upper lip over the top of the bottom lip. It adds to the cuteness, and it really will pull the age of the baby or the toddler, you know, down, you know, younger. Now, if you look at it up here, right here. So look at that profile. Look how far back I was able to pull that lip. And when you look at babies, you'll see that. You see that they're really pulled back. And then just, you know, look at the size of the head to body proportion, all that kind of stuff. And then play with it. Just have some fun with those proportions. Apply it to other characters and just see what you come up with. Because you know, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and one of the hardest things I had to learn was drawing cute. I could draw creepy. I could draw the beast. You know, the beast, even though it was complex, was fairly easy to draw. But when you got to sit down and you just have a few lines to describe something cute and appealing, that's where it gets difficult, and you got to make sure every single line counts. Okay. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something today, and next week I might be doing some animation. Or maybe even some story work. I'm not sure yet, but well, whatever it is, we'll have some fun doing it. And I hope you guys learned something. Like I said, get out there, do some drawing, draw something cute, put some beauty back into the world, and I'll talk to you next week. So see you later.